Welcome back to the deep dive. We have a distinct stack of sources today.
That's one word for it.
I have to be honest, when I saw it in the queue, I thought there'd been a mistake. We're usually looking at, white papers, investment theses.
You can see a CEO biography.
Exactly. Today, we are pivoting hard.
It is definitely a departure. I think it might be the most hirsute case study we've ever covered.
Hirsute is the word. We are looking at a story whose protagonist has very strong opinions, a competitive spirit, and very fluffy eyebrows.
Of course.
We're talking about a miniature schnauzer, Magnus-Archibald.
A miniature schnauzer with a dream. And I know hearing that, it sounds a little ridiculous on the surface.
It does.
If you're listening to this thinking, okay, have they lost the plot? Are we analyzing a children's book? The answer is yes, but also absolutely not.
Right. Because the mission here isn't to review a storybook. It's to look at why this specific story, Magnus-Archibald and the three-part pickleball plan, is actually kind of a masterclass in behavioral economics.
Precisely. Think about how we usually get financial advice. It's all jargon ROI, compound interest, asset allocation.
It's immediately stressful.
It creates this wall of anxiety. This story, though, it just strips all of that away, uses a fable to explain the psychology of earning an experience.
So it's almost like it bypasses our adult defenses. If I say, go budget your discretionary income, you immediately tense up.
Exactly, you get defensive.
But if I tell you a story about how a dog bought a headband, you listen.
It's a Trojan horse for financial literacy. It lowers the cognitive load so the lesson can actually land.
So let's set this up. This is not a story about a dog wanting like a bone or a new toy.
No, it's very specific.
Magnus-Archibald wants a victory bandana.
Which is a status symbol, right?
Yeah.
He's not looking for something to chew on. He's looking for recognition. He wants the gear that proves he's a real player.
And the only way to get this bandana is to enter a competitive pickleball tournament.
And the source does a great job explaining why he wants this. It's not just vanity.
No, it's about belonging, community. The story opens with him on the back porch, and it's all about the sensory details. He's listening.
He hears that rhythm.
Pop, pop.
The sound of the paddles, that distinct little thwack.
Right. The paddles, the laughs, the cheers from the park. The source says he could feel the energy, and that's the key. He didn't just want to watch anymore.
That's the observer versus participant gap. It's a real thing. You can enjoy watching for a while, but eventually, observation becomes frustration. You want in.
He wanted to play for real. That phrase really stuck out. Not a fake game in the backyard.
No, he wanted the real sign-up sheet, the entry fee, the whole deal. The stakes.
But this is where reality hits. There's a barrier to entry.
The classic economic barrier. The fee.
The tournament costs money, and Magnus, for all his sophistication, is liquidity constrained.
He's broke.
He has $0. And this is where the story shifts into really a negotiation case study.
Absolutely. Because think about how most of us handle a lack of funds for a want. Not a need, but a want.
Well, we either just put it on a credit card and worry later,
Digging a hole?
or we just sulk and say, I can't afford it, and feel bad.
Right. Or we just beg. We approach it with zero leverage, just, can I please have this?
A simple yes or no, a weak position.
Totally. But look at Magnus's pitch. The source really details his approach. He doesn't just bark. He lays out the logistics, the date, the fee, and then he adds a critical value add.
It's stretching.
The stretching. He promises to stretch before playing.
I love that detail. It's funny, obviously, but what does that signal to his parents, the investors?
It signals he's serious. It's risk mitigation. He's showing them, I won't just take your money and get injured in 5 minutes. He's demonstrating professionalism.
He's treating himself like an athlete, so they'll treat him like one.
Exactly. But even with that perfect pitch, the parents' reaction is the real pivot point of this whole thing.
This is the part everyone should hear. They didn't say yes.
Which would have been easy.
And they didn't say no.
They gave the non-answer. But it wasn't an avoidance, like, we'll see.
No, it was a redirection. They said, let's make a plan.
Let's make a plan. Think about that shift in power. If they say yes, they're benefactors, he's a charity case, he learns nothing.
If they say no, they're villains, he's a victim, he learns resentment.
But let's make a plan. Makes them partners.
It moves it from your problem to our problem.
It's collaborative. And that brings us to the core framework of the source, the three-part plan.
The rule of thirds.
Which is such a brilliant, manageable way to structure a goal.
So let's break down the financing. It wasn't just go earn the money. It was a diversified portfolio of funding.
Right, it wasn't all on his little schnauzer shoulders.
Part one, mom and dad, they agree to cover 1/3.
That's the seed round. It's the subsidy. It validates the goal and says, we're in this with you, but not so much that you don't have to try.
Okay, then there's part two, grandpa.
The angel investor.
Grandpa covers the second third. And the text says he was super enthusiastic about it, but he had a condition.
A philosophy, really.
He explicitly said he wanted Magnus to have skin in the game.
Which is key. If you have no risk, you have no focus. You don't treat something you got for free with the same respect.
And bringing Grandpa in also expands the support network, right? Now he has stakeholders.
Exactly. He's accountable to someone outside his immediate family. He can't back out now. Grandpa's watching.
So that leaves part three, the final third. This is the part Magnus-Archibald has to cover himself.
The equity. The personal investment.
The source says his reaction was just to blink and think, 3/3. That sounded like math.
Which is a very relatable moment of cognitive friction.
But then it says something clicked. And this is the magic of chunking a goal down. If they'd told him, go earn the whole $50 or whatever, he would just quit.
Of course. The mountain's too high, but 1/3, that's manageable. That's a few chores. It's within reach.
It reframes it from an impossible obstacle to a doable challenge.
Exactly. It turns the tournament from a gift into an achievement he has to unlock. He's not a passenger anymore.
He has his paws on the wheel. So, execution. How does a schnauzer actually generate income?
Well, the source lists his work. He helped tidy the yard, sorted toys into piles, small stuff like that.
And I want to focus on how the text describes this work. Usually we think of earning something as this, montage of suffering, blood, sweat, and tears.
Like it has to hurt to have value.
But the text is clear. The work was nothing overwhelming and nothing scary.
That is such a crucial distinction. It was steady, doable effort.
Why is that so important?
Because we often conflate earning with punishment. We tell our kids, oh, you want that expensive thing. Well, you're going to suffer to prove you deserve it. That creates a negative association with work.
Instead of seeing work as the vehicle for the reward.
Exactly. For Magnus, it was different. The source describes him adding coins to his jar, and he wasn't stressed. He was proud.
The sound of the coins wasn't a reminder of how much was left, but of what he'd already done.
It's the IKEA effect. You value the table you built yourself more. As he saw that jar filling up, he felt agency. He had control. That's a fundamental lesson in self-efficacy.
It builds agency, not anxiety. And the source says it explicitly. This wasn't about punishment. It was about learning how money and choices fit together.
That's financial literacy in one sentence.
So just as we're settling in, the story takes a little bit of a left turn. We get a history lesson, a fact drop.
A contextual interlude, yeah.
It pauses to explain the actual origins of pickleball. And at first I thought it was just trivia, but it totally parallels Magnus's journey.
It reinforces that theme of resourcefulness.
Okay, so the source says pickleball started in 1965, Bainbridge Island, Washington.
A very specific time and place.
Invented by 3 dads.
There's that number 3 again.
Their kids were bored, they wanted a game, but they didn't have the right equipment, so what did they do?
They didn't go out and spend a fortune. They lowered the barrier to entry, literally.
They used an old badminton court, lowered the net to the ground, and used improvised wooden paddles.
The source calls it practicality. It wasn't fancy. It was a solution born out of what was available.
And if you map that onto Magnus's story, it's the exact same vibe. His financial plan wasn't some complex crypto scheme.
No, it was practical. It was resourceful.
Yeah.
I have a yard that needs tidying. I have toys that need sorting. I have a grandpa who loves me.
He used the assets he had to get the result he wanted.
Just like the inventors of the sport.
Yeah.
They optimized for participation.
Mhm.
They didn't let perfect be the enemy of good.
That's a great connection.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward. The work's done. The jar's full. It's tournament day.
A big day.
Magnus arrives. Now, in a typical sports story, this is where you'd get the locker room speech, the focus on the opponent.
It's a stare down.
Right. But the source shifts focus entirely. It looks internal. It describes his mindset.
Well, think about the psychological armor he's wearing. He walks onto that court knowing 3 things.
Okay, first.
He planned for this. He wasn't crashing the party. He had a ticket he'd bought and paid for.
Which totally combats imposter syndrome. You can't be an imposter when you have the receipt.
Exactly. Second, he knew he had help. His support network was right there. He wasn't alone.
And third,
He knew he had helped himself. And that's the most powerful one.
The feeling of, I did this.
Experiences feel different when you've purchased them with effort. The pop, pop, pop of the ball sounds different when you paid for the paddle.
It's true ownership of the moment.
And the source is very clear about the result of the tournament, which I love. It defies the Hollywood trope.
It says winning isn't the point.
Which is so counterintuitive. We want the trophy, the slow-motion shot of him winning.
Right, hoisting the golden pickle cup. But the source says the win was showing up ready.
The satisfaction didn't come from the score. It came from the preparation. It came from the earned nature of the day, bridging the gap between his desire and his reality. That was the victory.
Because the success isn't the outcome, it's the process that got you to the starting line.
And that brings us back to why this is really about everyone listening.
It's about the tournaments we're all trying to enter in our own lives.
Precisely.
So let's bring it all home. What are the big takeaways here? The source makes it clear nobody lectured Magnus, nobody scared him about debt.
Nobody made it heavy. And that's the key. The source gives us 3 main lessons we can apply to almost any big goal.
Let's hit them. Lesson 1.
Money can be shared.
Sounds simple, but it's hard for adults.
It is. We have this idea that we have to do it all alone. But the source says it's okay for funding to come from multiple places. Asking for help isn't weakness, it's smart capitalization.
It's strategic. Okay, lesson 2.
Goals can be broken into parts. 3/3 is so much less intimidating than the whole thing.
We tend to look at the total sum and just freeze up.
Right. By compartmentalizing the problem, they made it solvable. Break it down until the piece you have to hold is light enough to carry.
And lesson 3, this is the one that really stuck with me.
Responsibility doesn't have to feel hard.
Right. We're conditioned to see it as a burden. Eat your vegetables, pay your taxes, the bitter pill.
But for Magnus, responsibility felt like pride. It felt like agency. The work wasn't a punishment. It was the mechanism that granted him his wish.
It reframed responsibility as the vehicle for his dreams, not the obstacle.
That is such a powerful shift. If you can see your savings account not as money I can't touch, but as my future freedom fund, the whole psychology changes.
So to everyone listening and to your inner kid, the application seems pretty clear. When you look at those big wants in your life, don't see them as impossible obstacles.
Right. Don't stare at the price tag and just tell yourself no.
Ask the question Magnus's parents asked. How can we make a plan?
Break it down. Maybe you can't do it all today, but maybe you can find a grant for a third. Maybe you can freelance for a third. Find the pieces.
And that process, the figuring it out, that's part of the fun. It's the stretching before the game.
Exactly. It's the warm-up. And I think that raises a final question for everyone, a provocative thought to mull over.
Go for it.
If a miniature schnauzer can turn a financial gap into a confidence-building exercise just by breaking a fee into thirds, what tournament in your life are you currently avoiding?
That's the question.
What creates that pop, pop, pop of excitement for you that you've been ignoring? And more importantly, are you avoiding it because you can't afford it or simply because you haven't broken it down into a plan yet?
Are you stuck in that binary no when you should be looking for the third way?
Exactly. Find your grandpa. Find your chores. Make the plan.
That is a great place to leave it. Thank you all for diving deep with us today into the world of Magnus-Archibald.
It's been a truly practical, fluffy pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.